gorgeous humans. Welcome to the morning show. Happy Wednesday. How are you feeling? I'm so excited to dive in with you today. So, today we're talking about 4 things that you can do immediately to awaken that empowered self version of you. Praise and the hallelujah. So, today we're talking about some really important things, and I'm excited to do it because this is that transition energy. So, say hello as you're jumping on. We're going to break everything down. So, before we dive in, let me do this. Before we dive in, we are doing a free masterclass tomorrow. Free masterclass tomorrow. It is on healing your nervous system to quantum leap. Hello, Heather. Healing your nervous system to quantum leap. This is going to be such an incredible in-depth class. I'm so excited to bring it to you. It is going to have some things click for you on a whole other level. You're going to understand if maybe you have felt kind of stuck, like hitting up against a wall for a time period and you can't figure out how to break free, how to get that quantum leap in your life. This is going to make it all make sense. So if you want to join that masterclass, you can comment masterclass. If you are on Instagram, comment masterclass and I will send you the link directly. It is 100% free. We're doing it tomorrow, but you do have to register in order to know where it's going to be, what time it's going to be, and to receive the replay. So excited for that. If you're on YouTube, you can comment masterclass as well, and I will send it to you directly. Okay, let's dive in. So today we're talking about 4 things you can do today to awaken that empowered version of you. Now, this is so important because as you are on this healing journey, on this journey of becoming your best and highest self, there's a time period where you are in the depths. I call it in the underworld. There's a time period where you're really doing that healing work, and it can feel dark, it can feel heavy because we're surfacing up all of the stuff. But then there comes a point when it is time to stop putting all of the focus on what needs to be healed, worked out, uprooted, all of those things. And now we've got to really start transitioning to awakening, nurturing, and feeding that empowered version of you. Now, ideally, and the way that I teach it and the way that I do it, we're kind of doing this simultaneously, right? Because when you're in the underworld, as I say, when you're doing that work where you feel the heavy emotions and you feel that, like, I don't know what's happening, like you're in the death of the rebirth, it can feel like a lot, right? And it happens, it's necessary for a time. But if we can do this work simultaneously, where we're doing that healing work, because we got to, as we've said here before, you cannot manifest something new holding on to the same old stuff, right? The old stuff has got to come out so that you then have room to awaken this more empowered version of you, to become a vibrational match for those magic and miracles that you're craving, that you're like, this is the whole point, I'm doing this thing, right? So there's a transition period. So today we're talking about what you need to do to start adding in that vibe, that energy to start awakening this empowered version of you. Now, here's what I'll say. The empowered version of you is actually who you are. It is actually your truth. So we go through our journeys where we have all this kind of muck and stuff that we've got to heal through, we've got to work through. But think about this. Why are we healing? Why are we working through the muck? We're doing it all so that we can be the full version of who we actually are. It's not like you're going and trying to find this version of you. It's not like you're like, I'm doing all this healing work and I hope it pays off. It's not like that. There is a very deep innate knowing that there is this part of you that is whole, powerful, meant to do more, meant for that life that you envision, meant for that fulfillment, meant to do something that creates an impact in this world, be it small or big, whatever it is you feel called to, we have that in us and you can feel it. Because otherwise, we would have no motivation to move forward. We're programmed with this. We know that the muck, the wounding, like we know this, we might not remember it all the time, but we know that the wounding, the muck, the trauma, all the emotions and the stuff that we're healing through is not actually who we are. Can we just write it down? Like, it is not actually who you are. What you're doing is taking all of those layers off. And then it's going to reveal to you that awakened, empowered light that you actually are. Now, when we get to this point, we're doing this beautiful seesaw effect. When we get to this point where the empowered version of you starts awakening, this is where life starts getting really fun. Because if you imagine you've been in the underworld and you've been taking off all those layers, well, once you start to see the spark, the hint of your light coming online, now you're going to start to feel that invigoration energy. Now you're going to start getting excited. Now life is going to start looking like possibility. It's going to start looking like potentiality because now you have awakened the part of you that knows your power. And when you know your power, you have the capability to create anything. And not only create anything, it's going to be fun versus the like past where maybe you were in your wounding and you felt like you needed to manifest in order to feel worthy and validated and all of that stuff. We've cleared that out. And now we're going to start operating, what's the word? I'm moving, operating from the part of you that is one with all that is. Okay, so we're going to dive into it. So the first thing that you have to really, really think about and you've got to do, and this is just going to probably solve so much confusion for a lot of you right away. You have to create safety. So you have to feel safe in owning your power. Okay, let's break that down a little bit. As a kid, were you told that you were too much? As a kid, when you had an opinion, were you told that you shouldn't talk back? As a kid, when you were being directive as a leader, were you told stop being bossy? So we see how innocently these things get set up. So you're born with a certain power, but then you might have been told, shut it down. And so you would get in trouble. You would get in trouble for speaking your mind. You would get in trouble for bossing people around. You would get in trouble for being that big expressive energy that caused you to be seen, that caused you to be the center of attention. People didn't take it so well. So as a child, you probably learned, don't show your full expression, don't show your full power because you get in trouble. Now we could take this even deeper and you want to take it back to past lifetimes, especially if you identify as a woman who was a healer, particularly a healer that worked with magic, that worked with herbs, that worked with the occult. And we have, for thousands of years, women persecuted for owning their power. So we have these things that are set up in our body, coding, lineage, trauma, all of these things. So we can't do much about what happened. I really want to emphasize that because I think a lot of times we get really, really hung up on what happened and you want to fix what happened. We can't fix what happened. But what we can do is start to transmute and transform that energy now. So the first thing is creating safety to be in your power. And the way that you're going to start doing this is little tiny things. It's like 1 millimeter shifts. And I know a lot of times we're looking for that huge quantum leap, like we're going to talk about tomorrow in our masterclass. A lot of times we're looking for that big quantum leap. A quantum leap occurs with a bunch of teeny tiny 1 millimeter shifts. Because you don't have the capability, if you're sitting at this level, so say you're sitting in like deep terror to own your power and be seen, you don't have the capability to just be like, own your power and be seen. It's too big of a leap. You feel me on that? It's too big of a jump. you'll stay here forever because that's too much for you to do all in one fell swoop. So when you're here and there's a fear around owning your power, there's a fear around owning your authority and your expertise, speaking your mind, speaking your truth, what you've got to do is just start doing it in little tiny increments. So this looks like something as small and as simple as when your husband says, "Where do you want to go eat tonight?" And you have an idea of exactly what you want to eat tonight, you say it. And you don't go, "Whatever you want, it's fine." "I know, I don't care. What do you want?" If you have an opinion, you speak the opinion. If you have a desire, you speak the desire. It's little tiny things like that that then will start to build this muscle of safety in owning your voice, owning your power, or owning your authority, and owning your expertise. Now, a lot of times, what we fear in that, especially in our online world, is people with backlash, right? People with having something to say. I used to have this fear, okay? And it was actually very subconscious for me because I have shown up online for years, but I didn't allow myself, like, the thought of being seen by millions used to really, really terrify me. And I didn't consciously think about it. It wasn't until I started actually looking into it that I was like, "Oh shit, like I am actually sabotaging this." And so I had to start doing work that all comes back to your personal worthiness, your mission, and understanding that other people's voices are not your measure for worthiness and validation. Now, that's big work, right? That's work that isn't done in a day. But this is what we've got to start doing. I'm safe to speak my truth. Woo! I'm safe to convey what I know. I'm safe to show up in my mission. And I want to say this one because this one has really stood out to me a lot lately. I am safe to own my gift. Did that just land on everybody? Because that landed on me when I received that just a couple days ago. It's safe to own your gift. I think a lot of times we very much suppress or diminish what we're good at. But what we're good at is what we came here to share with the world. You know, and our world teaches us be humble, and by all means be humble, because if you're not humble, this universe will humble you quick. But own it. Own your gift. Own what you have, whether that gift is something of the esoterics, or if it's something like leadership, or you speak well, or you know what needs to be done. You can see the details of something. You can see how something needs to come together. Own that. Because when you own your gift, and get this, when you own your gift, you are being your most authentic, higher, empowered self. And when you do that, this is the great irony. You think people are going to be upset? When you own your gift and you're in your authenticity, people relax. People relax. Because when it's your energy signature and you're no longer suppressing it, do you know how much energy it takes to suppress who you are? Like, you're using so much energy just to not fully be yourself. I mean, really think about it. All of your manifestation power, all of that power that you have to actually create the life that you want to be living, you're using to suppress yourself when you don't feel safe in owning your power and owning your gift. So it's like this inverted energy is happening where you're pushing in on yourself rather than just allowing it to do what it wants to do, which is flow out. Y'all feel me on this? So, number one, create safety to be in your power. Little bitty things, little bitty things. Okay. Number two, and this is a big one, and this is one that solved so many issues for my clients and myself included. You have two versions of yourself that live in you. Okay? Be with me here. You have two versions. You can call them whatever you want. You could call it ego and soul. You could call it inner child and grown woman. You could call it the human and spirit, whatever you want to call it, or human and higher self. But you have two versions. You've got the part of you that is freaked out by everything, that holds the wounds, that holds the trauma, that has the insecurities, that sometimes just wants to crawl on a blanket and put it over your head and not talk to the whole world, right? We have that version of ourselves. And we have the version of us that is this calm, grounded, powerful, higher self who knows who you are and knows everything is all good. Just take a moment right now and let's tap into it. Just tap into that it's such a quiet but steady and calm voice. It's just a calm energy. Just tap into it. It's that part of you that just knows everything's going to be fine. Like you might have the human part of you with the wounds and the emotions and the anxiety and the like 1,000 miles a minute. I call it the crazy chihuahua. When our crazy chihuahua gets active and it's running circles and it's freaking out, right? You've got that part of you, but simultaneously at the exact same time, you have the part of you that knows it's going to be fine. You feel it? Click in the comments. There's a part of you that already is all of who you are. And it's not loud, which is why the ego, the human part of us gets more of the attention. Because the most empowered part of you is not loud, but it is unwavering. It is calm, it's steady, it knows. You feel it? So when you are aware of these two sides that exist inside of you, this is the shift you've got to make. Stop trying to make the insecure, scared little girl who worries about everything, who freaks out, who doesn't feel safe. Stop trying to make that version of you be something. Did I just call out everybody? Because this is so real. Stop trying to fix her. Stop trying to make her change. Stop trying to make her lead. Stop. Stop. Because this is putting your nervous system in total meltdown. It's burning you down. It's breaking highway systems left and right inside of you because she does not have the capacity to do the empowered leadership things, nor is she supposed to. Your job with the little girl that's inside of you that has the insecurities, that has the fears, that has the worries, that has all of the things, your only job, hear me, is to love and accept her. Do you feel that? Like I got goosebumps. Do you feel it? Like your only job is to love that part of you and make her feel safe. Like the way I imagine it is there's the higher self part of me that is my empowered version that shows up and leads. That's who's running the show right now. It's my empowered version of me. I'm not making my insecure, scared little girl with all of her fears and anxieties show up and lead. Do you feel me on this? So the way that I envision it is whenever it's time to lead, to do what I need to do, whether it's coming on here and talking to you guys or coaching my clients or teaching a training or a program or parenting, that version that's leading all of those things is the part of me that is empowered and knows. That's who's leading that stuff. My scared little girl gets to like curl up in her little cozy blanket and just chill. And I tell, like, I got you. You don't have to do it. I got you. Chill out. You're good. Your only job is to love and accept that part of you. Do you feel the difference in that? Versus, I don't know if I'm good enough. How am I going to do this? This is going to be so hard. Like, oh my God. You know what it feels like to try to push her to show up. I had a very real moment years ago. It's been like 2 years now, I think. But I realized I was pushing that part of me so hard. Like I was pushing her to show up. I was pushing her to like do the work. I was trying to fix her. I was pushing. And I could feel like I'm starting like my child just dropped something on my head. I could feel that part of me exhausted, who resonates, like exhausted, just that fear in your belly, that like I don't want to feeling, that's that burnout that is showing up for you because you're forcing this little part of you to do and be all of these things. It's just like think about it, like if you looked at your 5-year-old child and you said to her like I need you to get it together. You're going to have to show up and lead today. No crying, no this, no that. And how often are we doing that to ourselves? All the time. So here's what you're doing. You're telling that insecure little part of you, like, it's okay. You don't have to do anything. I got it. I got it. And then you switch your consciousness focus over to the higher, empowered, grounded leadership version of you who knows what she's doing. You feel me on this? So, what's important in all of this is that you have the awareness that they are both you. It's not this is the real you and this is the put on version of you, or this is the real you and this is the traumatized version. I don't know. They're both you because I think a lot of times we identify more with the wounded part of ourselves because it has so much emotion to it. We identify more with that than we do with the part of us that actually owns our gifts, owns our power, shows up like a boss, and knows what she's doing. We're both. You feel me on that? We're both. Now, here's the third thing, and this is really important with knowing this now. When you don't have the capacity or the energy to be in that empowered state, don't do it. What I'm saying with this is that you don't need to be this like on all the time. You don't need to be leader version of you that owns her life and owns what she is and owns all of these things all the time. You're gonna have days where this part of you just needs to chill out. You might need to have like a little cry sesh. You might need to binge out some Netflix. You might need to just like shut out the world and do a puzzle and listen to some Abraham Hicks. That was always my thing. Allow yourself to relax when you are not feeling empowered, meaning don't make it wrong. There's been so many times where this has been top of mind for me because we can have this when we're leaders, especially. And if you run a business like I do, where you're coaching and you're helping others, there can be this idea that you are supposed to have it all together all the time. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you are living your existence as though you've got your shit together all the time, that's a survival pattern. You're protecting yourself. It is not actually the truth because we're human and we have emotions and we have things that we are healing and working on all the time. So there's going to be days where I call it my like I just can't days. I just can't. You're going to have days like that. Allow yourself to have those days. You're going to have days where you're like in a big up level. So a big up level, essentially we want the up level, we want the quantum leap because we're trying to go to our new levels all the time. But when you're in the up level, what it feels like is overwhelm, a lot, pressure. Your mind can't quite wrap around like what's happening because you're pushing through to your next level. So when you have those days where you just can't, you got to let yourself have those days because those days are just as important as your empowered days because they're going to allow you to show up powerfully. You can't show up powerfully if you're running it hard all the time. Do you know what I mean? There was there was a phrase or a metaphor that was like, even the best racehorse in the world still needs to rest. You know, like you need to rest. You need to have those days where you just can't. And you just chill out, take a break, take a breather, and don't make it wrong. Hear me on that. Don't make it wrong. Because when you make it wrong, you're not actually resting, right? You guys know that feeling where you're like, you're taking a day off You're chilling out on the couch, you're watching your favorite show, but the whole time you're thinking, I should be doing this. I should be being productive. I should be blah, 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 whatever. You're making it wrong the whole time. That's not allowing your nervous system to do the relaxing repair that it needs to do. You feel me on that? So the third thing is allow yourself to have those days where you're not being the empowered self. Allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to be introverted for a day or whatever it means to you. Allow yourself that nurturing time and know that that is so vital and necessary for you to be able to be in this empowered state. And don't make it wrong. Cool. Okay. And then number 4, the last one, and probably my favorite, make life a game. Make it fun. And I know we've probably heard this before and it can sound a little cliche sometimes, but I want you to really sit with it. Like watch your I knows. Like we talk about this inside a lot of my programs and courses. Eliminate what you think you already know. Like eliminate I know from your vocabulary because what it ends up doing is blocking us from actually embodying. When you stop things at the mind, I know that. I know I should meditate every day. I know that this is something I'm supposed to be doing. I know. When you say I know, what you're doing is stopping the energy in the mind and you're not allowing it to fully come into your body. Now, we do not experience any level of change until we embody it. So you can know everything. You could have so much information running around in your head. You're like a freaking encyclopedia. Like you could know a lot, but until you allow that knowledge to seep down through the chakra system into your body and embody it, meaning you live, breathe, and be it, you will not see a transformation in your life. So until I allow my knowledge to become embodied, I am going to repeat the same energy because it's just staying here and it's not coming down in here. Does that make sense? So number 4, make life a game. This is my favorite way to live. Yes, I forget all the time because I'm human and I get into my like stressed out to-do list too sometimes. But the best way to operate in this life is to stop taking it so seriously. And I know we've got stuff and we've got bills and we've got old stories and things that have happened to, I know. Everyone's got a story. But what I want you to really make the shift in is that it too gets to be processed and looked at as though it's like a video game that you're playing. Like you get to do this in a way where it's like, I wonder if I do that, then plus this, what it's going to turn out to be. I think I want to go there. Let me see if I can, how quickly can I get to where I want to be and how easy can I allow it to happen? Do you see what I'm saying? Like you start to make it this game. Take the pressure off of it. Because when we put pressure on something, we stifle it. Especially you think about like your goals and your success that you're after, that life that you want to be living. If you make it so pressurized, like your entire worthiness as a human is contingent on if you become successful. Oh my God. Like it's going to be such an arduous struggle, resistance filled journey. Now, I mean, it's your choice. You can do life like that and you might get to your goal still, but the journey there is going to be so painful. And in a world where we get to choose how our journey is going to be because it's based on our perspective of how we're viewing life and how we're viewing ourselves, wouldn't it just be way better to choose the route that feels like fun, that feels like adventure, that feels like flow, that feels like ease, to play the game and say, instead of berating and struggling my way to the success I want, maybe what if I could do it in a way that feels like, how fun and easy can I arrive at the level of success that I want to be at? Do you see how the perspective shift is all within your own control? It's all about how you view things. And a lot of times, the reason that we have a hard time viewing it that way is because we've got to go all the way back to step one. We've got to do that healing work to create safety. Once you do that healing work to create safety in being yourself, owning your power, owning your gift, everything else gets a whole lot easier because you're no longer weighing every ounce of what you do and then measuring your worth on it. You feel me on that? You're no longer concerning yourself with that person's opinion and that person's opinion because you have become so embodied in your empowered whole self. You know that opinions are futile. It doesn't even matter because you know who you are. Does this make sense? Heather said, makes perfect sense. I get stuck with embodying what I know. Yeah. So one of the sort of like tricks that you could do is when you know something is good, like you know something, like I should be doing this or it works like this, like I know that, you got to kind of check yourself and say, but am I actually living that? Because it's tricky. This is one of those ego tricks. The ego will be like, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. But then you like, if you actually look at your life, you got to ask yourself, but am I living that? Am I living what I know? Because that's the only time it actually matters. You can know everything. Like I could sit here and tell you, like, working out is really great for you. Meditation is going to take you to a whole new level beyond what you could imagine. Taking care of your body and your mind and your soul is the way to transcend to a new level. And you're like, yeah, I know. But then you look at your life and your life looks like rolling out of bed at the last minute, just barely getting by, trying to get these kids off to school and like raise them as sort of healthy humans. Not spending time with your husband because you're like so stressed out from the whole day that you just scroll on your phone. You see what I'm saying? Like you can know things, but until you're living them, you're not going to see a transformation. And that, I mean, that's just real. But if you can really receive that, that's going to change your life. You feel me on that? All right, my loves. All right, Rose, we're going to wrap. Thank you so much for being here live. If you want to come and do this work with me, everything we've been talking about in these recent weeks is what we're going to be doing inside the Miracle Matrix experience together. So for those of you who maybe are new to my world or you're just popping on, this experience is a 3-month healing immersion. We're going to be together for 3 months doing the integrative practices to heal the nervous system, start rearranging those mindset limitations that maybe we have had since childhood. We're going to be moving all the old energy muck out of the body. We're going to be doing trauma release. And we're going to be doing that really beautiful seesaw effect of starting to switch over to that empowered state of you, build and nourish this version of you who you actually are. And then we're going to be adding in some really fun manifestation practices because as your power starts to come online, now you're going to have the ability to start creating your world on purpose. Hence, you can create your own miracle matrix. So it's a 3-month container. It is a beta experience, meaning this is the first time I'm launching this and in this format. So you're going to get to come in at the special beta price, which is unheard of. It's such an incredible investment. And we're going to be having a private call with me once a month. So you get 3 private calls with me. We're going to have group calls. Plus, we're going to be doing breath work and TRE, which is trauma release, with certified practitioner Katie Jones, in addition to all of the trainings where I'm going to teach you this work. I'm going to teach you and train you how to do this for yourself. We're going to be doing a lot of it together inside the container, but you're going to have this for life. These tools are going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And this is how we take ourselves from that, like, I'm just getting by survival state to quite literally living your whole life as the magic and miracles that you know is possible inside. It's just going to be so amazing. So if you're interested, all of the information is in the link in my bio, or you can reach out to me directly. I'm so happy to answer any questions. We do have limited spots. 2 of the spots have already been taken, so we just have 7 spots left, and we begin in a couple of weeks. So if that interests you, reach out. I'll give you all the details on it. It is going to be an incredible experience. All right, my loves, I love you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you on Friday for our Q&A. Love you guys. Bye. Goodbye, my love.